I'm David Smook, founder and CEO of Hacker Noon, and today we're kicking off with Trent Lipinski, formerly of Crypto Disrupted. His podcast will now be joining Hacker Noon, and he will be leading, hosting, producing the Hacker Noon podcast. And I'm very, very excited to work with Trent. I've been reading his stuff for a while. I've been listening to his podcast. He's been getting some of the best crypto influencers, and he's lived and breathed the tech culture growing up in San Francisco, built a company, had it threatened by larger companies, came out the other side stronger, helps a lot of startups, very deep in the startup investing and growing scene. And I'm very, very excited for him to host the Hacker Noon podcast.
Thanks for having me, David. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this podcast off the ground. You know, I've been running Crypto Disrupted since January, and as much as I love blockchain and the cryptocurrency space, it's going to be great to be able to branch out and cover just general tech. I'm really excited to be able to talk to people, in the AI field, be able to talk to people about privacy issues, what's happening, in social media and all these other fields that I didn't really get to touch on with Crypto Disrupted. So I'm really excited to be able to get to cover those topics now with Hacker Noon, and be able to help you get your reach extended to YouTube and on different media platforms and iTunes, and give this thing a shot here.
Yeah, and you're the first person that told me we should have a digital currency for publishing, and that's what Hacker Noon should do. And I've always appreciated that perspective of how does blockchain affect your existing business? And I think it's going to work really well in terms of bringing in a lot of your past contributors from Crypto Disrupted that were very good and influential, and then bringing in a lot of mainstream tech leaders. Like Tracy Cho is going to be joining us, and the Founder Collective, and Joseph, who's been contributing to Hacker Noon for a while, and Dan Jeffries, who's been contributing to Hacker Noon, and some more Twitter famous investors like Hunter Walk and Hitan Shah are going to be on the show. Twitter fame is like the epitome of what we're looking for.
No, I'm definitely excited to, interview some new guests and I want to talk to some of the contributors for Hacker Noon and talk to some of the other journalists. It's kind of weird. As a journalist, I don't actually get to talk to a lot of journalists. So this will be kind of exciting because I finally will get to network with other journalists. I don't know what it is about journalists, but we don't talk to each other. You think there would be like a journalist community, but I guess that's what we're creating here. So.
Yeah, and everyone is kind of their own, marketing firm too, of journalist of your own life, which some of these more influential people like Elon Musk will go smoke a blunt on a podcast. How does that affect the price of Tesla?
Yeah.
There's definitely some cool stuff we can cover, and I'm excited. We're going to put, full-time editing on the podcast and up the production level of the Hacker Noon podcast, have longer interviews that will then shorten down. We'll start, with key breakaway quotes of the podcast, and then we'll have a number, and that number is, I don't know what the number is, but there will be a number, and you can dial in, and you could be one of the Hacker Noon contributors. So if we're interviewing Hitan Shah and someone wants to call in and talk about the benefits of bootstrapping a startup versus fundraising a startup, we'll leave that number available, and you can call in, and we'll mix that in with the interview and kind of try and hit more of that community driven and mix between, interviewee, interviewer, because you bring a lot of experience and you should tell more of your stories on the Hacker Noon podcast, as well as the contributors kind of mixing in with their thoughts and, reflecting the community that we've grown and we want to continue to grow.
No, absolutely. I think too, we can experiment with different stuff like live streaming and stuff. Haven't figured out exactly what that's going to look like yet, but
we're inviting Twitch. Twitch will be one of our early guests.
Hey, maybe we'll want to use Twitch and set up a Hacker Noon Twitch. So those are all really, different things we can explore and try to figure out, and, both get the podcast off the ground, but also figure out how we can leverage some of these other new media formats to be able to do some fun things.
And we are currently looking to sponsors for sponsors. We tapped into our weekly sponsor network to get some of our first ones, past Hacker Noon sponsors. But now, over the last year, we've had over 100 million page views on Hacker Noon stories, but it's been all text. So we're taking, a pretty big leap here of like audio files. It's the big new thing. We're going from text to audio, and we hope to leverage these big distribution channels to, have a big time podcast. And we definitely want to reward the companies that want to work with us in the beginning. And we want relationships where they get more value for their money because they want this project to grow too. And so, we're keeping our line of these are our guests and these are our stories. But, I think if we just put out the way we've been talking, like behind the scenes and the way we've been working and get to like what actually makes tech tick, I think a lot of brands are just going to want to be right next to that.
Yep. And we're doing video too. Here we are right now. So
this is my garage.
Home office. My apartment. So.
Yeah. Remote work.
Exactly. Well, I'm super excited to get this podcast off the ground. We've got a ton of amazing interviews coming up. So going to be busy, getting to those and interviewing a bunch of amazing people. And again, I'm really excited to kind of branch out from just crypto and cover the whole tech sphere now. It's an honor to work with you, David, and get this thing off the ground.
I'm really happy to work with you too, Trent. So that is the Hacker Noon podcast hosted by Trent Lipinski, and it can be found on iTunes, YouTube,
the internet,
hackernoon.com. Yeah, the internet. It can be found on the internet and the dark web. It's also available there.
It is.
Right? Doesn't it all make it from the main internet into the dark web, and then they slowly but surely leak from the dark web to the internet?
I don't know about that one. We're gonna see about getting the show on the dark web and figure that out.
The Hacker Noon podcast, now available on the dark web near you.
So again, that's the Hacker Noon podcast. You can find us on iTunes, you can find us on YouTube, and you can find us on podcast.hackernoon.com. So please come check us out, subscribe, and come join us in the afternoon.
Tell all your friends. Make them all smile. Share it with everybody. Spam your community. Thank you.